just wanted to review real quick for anyone who is just getting started. Here we are on the main home tab, and I adjusted this a little bit from what you've normally seen on our webinar account. This is more akin or more close to what we actually show if you just signed up for a 14-day free trial. What I mean by that is that when you first log on, you've got the main home tab view. And starting off, we've got the market sentiment tool. I'll talk about that in just a few moments. Now, you've got your watch list here as well. And watch list number one, what you see here is, hey, I threw in some of the Magnificent 7 stocks. How is Apple doing today? Okay, not so great. How is AMD? Not really one of the Mag 7s, but I follow it along with NVIDIA. AMD is actually up today a little bit while NVIDIA is down. Netflix, big news today, of course, with the buyout of Warner Brothers and the other subsidiary there. Sort of, I don't want to say pissed off, but they sort of pissed off Paramount and some others, theater companies, with this deal that now, you know, some of the DC comics, Batman, Superman, things of that nature, as well as the Harry Potter, is now going to be under the Netflix banner, as opposed to being under Warner Brothers and common theatrical theater, I should say, you know, movie theater terms, approaches. But that's kind of interesting. But it did take a 3% drop today with that news. Meta and some others, Tesla, of course. And I've got some of the volatilities here. Volatility dropped down again. We're back down to 1541 on the VIX. UVXY dropped about the same percentage, 2%. VXX dropped down as well. Site updates. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but just what are we looking at here? Here's just the pods when you first log on. Important things. The watch list you can set up yourself. Watch list 1, I just put in some common stocks that, you know, follow the market, always in the news, things of that nature, the Mag 7 and a couple others. List 2 is the stocks that I'm currently in my married put portfolio, the radioactive trading portfolio over at the radioactivetrading.com, I should say, the Fusion subscription at radioactivetrading.com. And if you just want to follow gold or silver, or just the indexes here and some of the basic ETFs, you can create up to 5 watch lists just to see how the market's moving when you first log in. Next live webinar, of course. And then over here, we've got our current market activity. How does Dow performing right now is SPX, and what's the VIX doing? Site updates I mentioned, Gamma Exposure Tool, the GEX, commonly referred to, just a new signature tool that was added today, this week, excuse me, and we'll talk about that. And then, of course, the trade picks, the monthly and weekly picks of the day for covered calls, cash secured naked puts, bull put credit spreads, and also long call options as well. These are based on our default criteria that were tested, which you can also see in the quick view for monthly and weekly picks of the day under the given strategy. Bull puts, there is no monthly or weekly. It's just the weekly. There's a 2 weeks out. That's my preferred search that I tested, that I trade with about 15% of my portfolio. The covered calls, the naked puts, Ernie did, and the long calls, which represent about 10 to 15% of Ernie's portfolio, I believe. You can see those here in the trade picks. Of course, earnings announced today as well. Now, you can customize this any way you want. In addition to customizing your watch lists, there's a variety of different pods that you can use depending on what you want to see and how you trade. Other pods are selected. You can take a look at the ETF gainers and losers. Let's just add that in there. And so now I can see which sectors essentially or industries are moving up. So we've got UNG, natural gas, good move today. Tanker shipping, one of the ones I always follow. I don't follow BWET. I follow the other tanker index ETF that's out there. I forget what it's called. And Moderna option income strategy one went up as well. What fell today? EWZS, Brazil small cap, not real of interest. Brazil and Bitcoin. Okay, so we can see kind of a gauge of what were the bigger ETFs, biggest sentiment and sector and industry gainers and losers. But I could do that directly. What's my biggest industry gainers? What's my industry losers? Latest splits, stocks hitting new 52-week highs, new 52-week lows, stock gainers, stock losers, unusual option volume as well. That's an interesting one. So we see here the BPOP here has an option volume change of 4812, a relative option volume 48%, EFX 39%, MOV, Movado Group. Interesting. 39% at 2137. So just some ways to customize the tools for what you like to see when you first log into the market. What do you want to see? Hey, I want to see the market activity. Hey, is there any recent site updates? The market sentiment tool, of course. Earnings announced today. Hey, maybe some trade picks. What are the good covered calls? What are some good bull put credit spreads I might see that match Mike's criteria or the general criteria for trading bull put credit spreads? But if I want the more in-depth detail, I'm going into bull put and I'm going into search as well. But just some ways to customize it to make it your feel, make it your own. Make your Power Options Home tab your own. And it's just some of the features that we have available. Of course, you can always see when the next live webinar is and when the next available coaching is. That's hard-coded in December 8th on Monday at 11 a.m. That would actually be with me.